The 2024 Prototype Germany, the third season of the Prototype Cup, and organised as the 24H Series is by Dutch organisation and promoters, Creventic. So delighted to be able to bring you some qualifying, first of all, for two races this weekend for the Prototype Cup. It's a short qualifying, but the races will be longer at 55 minutes plus one lap. And these are the opening rounds. In fact, we're going to be heading to Spa-Francorchamps, then in May, rounds at the Lausitzring in Germany to support the Deutsche Tourenwagen Masters, to Zandvoort, Hockenheimring, the Nürburgring, and then the Sachsenring as well. Several actually supports for DTM through the course of the year. But I think this is the one and only opportunity for these cars to be on the same bill as the 24H Series. And of course, 24H Series cars will be out on track for quite some time this weekend. So it's going to be a delicate moment to prize them into the timetable here and there. We do have a race bright and early, or sorry, qualifying bright and early tomorrow morning, together with the first of a couple of races. Weather conditions very similar to those that greeted the 24H Series drivers a moment or two ago. Little bit more sunshine peeping through the gaps in the cloud, but the track surface is still very, very damp, and these cars will all be out on their wet weather tyres. But this is a chance, Peter Mackay, to revel in lots of LMP3 machinery, whether built by Ligier or Duquesne. Some of them, I was going to say, getting a little long in the tooth now. They are only 4 years old, and they're still actually current machinery in things like the European Le Mans Series and the Road to Le Mans each year at Circuit de la Sarthe.
That's right, and they race very well at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Great drafting from them there, and also in the VP Racing Sports Car Challenge over in the United States. It's a great package to make a start in prototype racing. 455 horsepower, naturally aspirated V8s. They make a big booming sound, under a ton in weight as well, so they're a great car to get involved with. And as you said, homologated still until the end of 2025, and I don't see a reason why it would be not be carried on, and we'd see further evolution of the category. But Duquesne and Ligier, definitely two most preferred chassis, and very much a mix in the last couple of years in the Prototype Cup Germany, which is the chassis to have. Very much even Stevens, the Conrad car, going very slow out on circuit. The number 2 machine, Torsten Kratz, something's gone amiss there on the outlap.
Yeah, he can't seem to shake it. Sometimes coming to a halt, which he did a moment or two ago, and putting the car through a full reset can solve this type of issue. But heading for Blanchimont, the worry here is that cars at full speed are heading into that very fast left-hander at a much greater speed than Torsten is currently doing. The driver from Munch is trundling around, as you say, but at a much reduced speed. In the middle sector right now, nobody's set a time quite yet, though. Just coming around for their first flyers. So the blue and white car to cross the line first of all is Keanu Al-Uzari, the Emirati, and for Mulner Motorsports, who are based just a stone's throw out of the doors here at Stavelot, down the street there from Curve Paul Frere, so much shorter distance than normal for them to be competing in a championship such as this. And they may be sleeping in their own beds tonight with the Duquesne DO8 number 21 straight to the front. Now, is that a bit of local knowledge in terms of car setup, do we wonder?
Could be, yeah. It could be that the teams that run here at Spa regularly will definitely have an edge. But I think this could be a qualifying session where it's all about who gets over the line last, because there's a little bit of breeze kicking up here, quite a strong breeze actually at Spa-Francorchamps. And as you mentioned, Johnny, the sun breaking through the clouds. So even in the next 9 minutes or so, the track could ever so slightly dry out, and just enough to make a difference in the lap time. It's such a wide expansive area here at Spa that yeah, I think we could see the track actually evolve even in such a very short period of time.
It is looking brighter at Bruxelles corner, and now as Al-Uzari arrives at Speaker's Corner, turn 9, and heads through that tricky left-hander, downhill on the approach. How late do you leave? Just maybe a dab of the brakes, or certainly an ease of the throttle into Pouhon. could it even be flat? I suppose in dry conditions it would be in an LMP3 car through Pouhon, but it would be brave to be doing that with the grip at a premium. Marcus Pommer in the number 70 car has just done a 2:33.5. So he trails the Mühlner Motorsport Al-Azhari time by 3/10. Sebastian van Gartsen, third quickest for Racing Experience, the team from Luxembourg. And Gebhardt Motorsport, also in a Duqueine D08, fourth fastest for Sven Barth, number 80. So the Ligiers either haven't set times yet or are struggling, because we have a clean break between all the D08s and then the Ligiers that trail in behind. But we've only had one meaningful time from Klaus Aberland so far for Fricadelli Racing. Who else? AF2 Motorsports Ligier is now heading out onto the track. So Robert Doyle, for whatever reason, not starting the session until, well, it's exactly half old. We've had 7.5 minutes. We've just ticked over into the second half now, and American Robert Doyle joins the action. Still waiting for Torsten Kratz, apparently. Well, that car was definitely circulating, wasn't it? But maybe it just wasn't triggering the sectors because it took him so long between each. And then the other car that we've seen no sign of so far is number 14, the MRS GT Racing Ligier. So no driver assigned to that yet, because it has yet to leave the pit lane.
Klaus Aberland, the owner of Fricadelli Racing, out and putting in personal sectors in his number 30 machine from Ligier, where he'll be driving this weekend alongside Felipe Fernandez Lazar, who of course won the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring for the first time with Fricadelli Racing last year in the Ferrari. How could we forget that weekend? A momentous, historic weekend, the first ever Ferrari win and the first ever Fricadelli win, and in just over a month's time they'll be really hoping to repeat that success.
Also, those two have run together at the Road to Le Mans events and done some Michelin Le Mans Cup racing as well. So that, I'm sure, is the same car that they've utilised in ACO Rules Championships, but bringing it to the Porsche Cup, to the Prototype Cup Germany. There's not a Porsche in sight here, I promise you. The Prototype Cup Germany, that will be heading to other rounds, as mentioned, a lot of them in Germany. Lausitzring Ring next up, Hockenheim Ring, all the classic places in their homeland, but beginning with these two away day races initially. Keanu Al-Azhari back to the top. Mühlner Motorsport still then keeping the pace, setting the pace indeed, but now only by 0.02 of a second from Marcus Pommer. So Al-Azhari and Marcus Pommer on a very even performance to this point. Sebastian van Gartsen is a little way away from that, full second behind, 2 minutes 32.7 for the Racing Experience car. But it does appear still that the Duqueine is the favoured machine, because the top 6 positions all taken by the D08.
And is that a wet weather thing, possibly? The way that the chassis works, the way that maybe works the tyre. Of course, generating tyre temperature is so important in these type of conditions, particularly in a prototype. You've got so much performance to extract from one of these machines, but you need to be able to get the tyre to work to get that out of the machine. Of course, Michelin tyres on these Prototype Cup machines. So Mühlner at the top, car number 21, 230.866. That's about 7 seconds quicker than we were seeing from the GT3 cars in the previous session.
Have you worked out yet what the little J in brackets after Keanu Al-Azhari, and also I noticed Riccardo Leone Cirelli, who just gains a position? Ah, that's the junior class, or junior, well, maybe just
junior class. So you've got the junior class, the trophy class, and the overall. And I believe that the trophy is for those of a certain level of life experience.
I see. I'm ever so pleased you've read all the regulations and the background ahead of the rounds of this championship. I would have had all that done in time for the race, of course, but it's important to put context in during the qualifying sessions as well. So entered into the junior class, Keanu Al-Azhari. That might explain a little bit more of the pace. And your point about the T's, the trophy class, They are at the moment propping up the order, but there's life in all those old dogs yet, rest assured. Klaas Aberlan, 7th fastest. Robert Doyle, as mentioned, he's not had as much of the session at his disposal to this point, so we'll give him a bit longer to find a good time. Torsten Kratz must have disappeared back into the pit lane because he has not reappeared as far as I can tell. There's certainly no sectors coming from the number 2 Conrad Motorsport car, and looking very much like a non-starter now, the MRS GT racing machine. But lighting up the screen again, Keanu Alizari in the blue and white of Mulner Motorsport, just done the fastest lap of the session with a 2 minutes 30.8, and he backs that up with an absolute best through sector 1, 1 minute 10 through sector 2, which is not actually a personal best time, but yet if he continues at this speed, can he go even faster? Has the cushion of half a tenth now, which is a lot better than just a tenth back to Marcus Pommer. But clearly Marcus running at a very similar speed to the Emrati in car number 21, and this is not finished yet with 2.5 minutes to go. Marcus Pommer will dearly want that pole position purely for bragging rights overnight for Gebhardt Motorsport.
Of course, qualifying 2 tomorrow morning, where the other driver in the car will jump in to do their qualifying performance and see how they go. We could be knowing Spa will awake to completely different conditions tomorrow morning, just around 9 o'clock local time. Qualifying 2 will kick off for the Prototype Cup Germany, and tell you what, going through Eau Rouge with little bits of standing water and a prototype going over the curbs, that you need your brave pills before doing that.
Well, certainly Keanu Alizari's done that a few times now, so will be more averse to just how much he can push through there, assuming the conditions aren't changing significantly. Having said that, keeping an eye on the next Duquesne to go through, which is not Marcus Pommer, it is the 80 car, I reckon, of Sven Barth. There was more of a squirm than I've seen from a lot of cars at Eau Rouge and Raidillon prior to this. So does that mean that the rain is coming down with a little more readiness now? 41.8 is slower from Keanu Alizari, but then Marcus Pommer is able to take a bit of time away from Keanu. So very difficult to judge how the conditions are. And this track is such a large footprint, 7 kilometres in length, but the distance from the paddock all the way to Le Combe Corner and Bruxelles is such a long way that you can have different weather conditions all the way around the lap. We talk about the Nürburgring Nordschleife being like that. Well, that's even more so, like times about 15. However, here you still get the scope for one corner to be where it's bucketing with rain and another corner to be bone dry.
Well, remember about 7.5 minutes ago I said, oh, it's drying up, it's the sun's come out and the wind's gone, and it's completely turned around again. How could you be a team strategist here, or worse still, the meteorologist in any of the teams for this event here at Spa? So tricky. And that's one thing where, when you go, like you said, you go to the Nürburgring, the Ricciardelli team last year, team owner Klaus Aberlan said it's going to get foggy, it's going to get misty in the early stages of the Sunday morning. And being a pilot, he's pretty well read up on these things. So I wonder if he's doing the meteorology from the cockpit. He used to doing that in his, either his plane or his helicopter.
That is true. I mean, thankfully here in the Prototype Cup Germany, we're not going to be driving in the evening hours, although the weather may close in enough to make it appear that way. Keanu Alizari's crossed the line to see the checkered flag. He didn't improve on his final lap, but he doesn't need to at this stage. It's a 2:30.866 with, sorry, 2:30.348, I should say. From the 2:30.416, so that is less than a second back to Marcus Pommer, but those times are now set in stone. Francesco Draconi could have potentially improved. He did improve on his personal best times, but not enough to snatch a front row start for BHK Motorsport with their Duquesne. But Draconi has been there or thereabouts. Best time on the final tour for the Italian, to almost bump him up to third, but Sebastian von Gartzen snatches third place and switches from one side of the grid, the left side to the right side, at the last possible moment. Van Gartzen over the line with a 2 minutes 31.2, which has also included the absolute best middle sector for racing experience. So it's Müllner Motorsport with pole, Gebhardt Motorsport with second fastest time, and Racing Experience moving from one side of the grid to the other on the second row to be third, ahead of Francesco Dracone in the BHK Motorsport Duquesne, BWT Mucca Motorsports, and Riccardo Leone Cirelli in car number 8, fifth fastest with a time of 232.233. And to confirm those times then, Chiana Aluzari, who will be driving on his own this weekend, fastest for Müllner from Gebhardt Motorsport, Racing Experience third, and to be a fourth national flag in the top four, BHK Motorsport. Then, as I was mentioning, Mucca Motorsport, sponsored by BWT, the number 8 car, fifth fastest. The second of the Gebhardt Motorsport entries for Sven Barth, sixth quickest. Fricadelli Racing Team and Klaus Avalan doing the qualifying in this session. It will be Felipe Fernandez-Laza tomorrow morning, as PMAC mentioned, but the 30 car, seventh fastest, ahead of AF2 Motorsport of Spain, Robert Doyle in car 47 at 2:56.436. And finally, the two Ligiers that we didn't see a great deal of. Torsten Kratz did do a lap and then straight back into the pit lane, so Conrad Motorsport must start from 9th place. And we didn't see Antti Ramo at all for MRS GT Racing. Assuming they're able to start, being allowed to start, they will be from 10th position on the grid. Quite a lot happening in that short, sharp 15-minute session. Let's remind you of it. Les Combes corner, heading through that sequence of corners at the highest point of the circuit. So next up tomorrow morning, it will be the second qualifying session for the Prototype Cup Germany, live here from Spa-Francorchamps. You can join us at 3 minutes to 9 on Saturday morning for that. My thanks to Peter Mackay from Johnny Palmer. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.